Hey, stock market sharks, this is Steve, your fellow stock market shark. And today I'm coming with a very interesting coverage after the Q3 earnings update for Riot blockchain, one of the hottest stocks among retail investors in the last couple of weeks, months. And as you can see, guys, on the chart, the stock is crashing. The stock is crashing. It's almost 15% down. And today we are going to try to answer the question whether this is the bubble popping or is this just an overreaction of the market and it would create a very good entry point. Let's get started. Let's dive into the details. But before doing so, the usual ask to you guys, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, as this is very important for me to give feedback that what I'm doing, it basically makes sense and it's creating some values. And it would be very important for me to grow the community behind the channel, because it's always much more fun to invest in a community, to invest together than invest alone. So guys, please make sure that you subscribe down below. And now let's get started. So as you guys see, Riot blockchain is stumbling in the pre-market. It's almost down 15% in the pre-market movement. And basically the reaction of the market to the earnings report was very negative, which is a little bit difficult to understand why the numbers in the report were very impressive. The company reported a very impressive number in terms of the revenue growth and also in terms of the future prospects. So it's quite difficult to understand why the market reacts this way, and we are going to dive into it. But before that, I have to tell you guys that this is just probably the usual reaction that we can see on the market, that basically the market is selling on the news. So it's not about the fact that the report came in as negative, but rather that the positive news, the positive data has been priced in before the report came in, and now the market is just selling on the news and basically just realizing the profit. So probably this is what we see here, but we would look into the report in more details and investigate the number, and then I leave it to you guys to decide whether the report can be interpreted as positive and this is basically a great opportunity for the future, or you should also follow the herd and dump the stock. So let's dive into it in more details. But before that, let's analyze what Riot blockchain as a company is doing, and let's analyze what kind of performance it has shown in the last couple of months or even during the last 1 year period. So Riot blockchain is a Bitcoin mining company, one of the fastest expanding one in the United States, and it was producing some spectacular rally in the last period. So the stock is almost up 600% over the past year. It produced more than 65% gains over the last 6 months. And eventually during the last month, it was up around 45%. So the gains are just spectacular. For those of you guys who just entered the stock, were able to produce a massive profit. So good for you guys. But I think that basically the stock can still bring some very spectacular profits in the upcoming period as well. So I think that we have to keep a close eye on Riot blockchain. And for those of you guys who are interested in getting leverage into Bitcoin, and for those who are interested in getting some exposure indirectly, probably in crypto related investment, that is going to be a fantastic opportunity for the future. But let's look at what Riot blockchain is doing currently. What is the company about? What is its history? How it has developed in the last couple of years. And after that, we are going to dive into the earnings report, and then we are going to take a look at the technical picture as well, analyst expectation, and some closing thoughts. So let's get started. So this is Riot blockchain's website, and their vision is to become the biggest Bitcoin miner company for America. As you can see, basically the vision statement on the website, Riot blockchain is a Bitcoin mining company supporting the Bitcoin blockchain through rapidly expanding large-scale mining in the United States. We are focused on expanding our operations by increasing our Bitcoin mining hash rate and infrastructure capacity. Riot believes the future of Bitcoin mining will benefit from American operations and endeavors to be the driver of that future. So this is basically briefly the vision statement of the company. They are into Bitcoin mining. They want to become the largest Bitcoin miner company in the United States. So just a brief history for those of you guys who are not familiar with Riot blockchain. Riot blockchain has a very interesting root. So it was formed from a biological sciences technology firm in October 2017. This firm was called Bioptics, and it's changed its name to Riot Blockchain. The publicly traded company stock price increased from $8 per share to $40 per share within a month after the name change. And eventually, the US Securities and Exchange Commission started like an investigation against Riot Blockchain because they thought that the Riot Blockchain name, was a little bit confusing because they suppose that the company doesn't have to do anything with blockchain. And in these terms, it was misleading to the investors for including the term blockchain in the absence of clear connection to the industry. So the SEC started an investigation against Riot Blockchain, and on January the 30th, 2020, the company reported that the SEC Division of Enforcement has finished its investigation against Riot Blockchain and was not recommending any enforcement action against it. In March 2018, Riot Blockchain revealed its documents filed with the SEC that it has purchased 92% of Logical Brokerage Corp, a registered future commission broker, without disclosing the purchase price. So this is basically the first sign when Riot Blockchain is turning towards the finance field, the digital assets field. So this is the first moment in the company's history, like the first obvious moment that represents a shift in direction. And basically some new updates come right after that. In March 2019, the company has filed in a Form S3 report to the SEC describing its Oklahoma operations, Oklahoma mining operations, as well as its plans for cryptocurrency exchange that would include banking services, a trading engine, digital wallet services, which were to be provided by third parties. So here we have some obvious signs that basically the company is turning towards the digital asset space. Riot Blockchain's first quarter 2019 financial report filed with the SEC showed that the company continued to lose money, but at a slower rate than in the year-ago period. The company claims to be one of the largest publicly reporting cryptocurrency miners. April 2020, Riot has made a very important announcement. The company has announced that it would move some of its Antminer S17 mining machines to CoinMeans data center located in Messana, New York. Riot said that the move would save money and power due to Oklahoma City's heat, which caused cooling issues for the machines. And finally, one very important update that would have huge impact on the company's future growth. In a more than 600 million deal that includes 80 million of cash publicly traded, Riot Blockchain will acquire Milestone US from its German owner Northern Bitcoin AG. It's also mentioned by the Dallas Morning News that Milestone US Inc. would build the world's largest Bitcoin mining facility in Texas. So this is going to be the world's largest Bitcoin mining facility in Texas, according to the plans. So I would also like to draw attention on the hashing capacity of the company. So the hashing capacity is basically the computational power that the company has, the company uses for validating blockchain transactions. This is basically simply to say the speed of mining. Currently, Riot Blockchain has a hashing capacity of 2.2 exahashes. Exa is basically 10 power 18, so it's a huge number. It's 2.2 exahashes currently. And pay attention to this one. The future Riot hashing capacity is planned to be 7.7 exahashes, basically. So this represents more than 3 times of the current hashing capacity. So it's a huge growth, and the company is on track of achieving this growth with a very rapid pace. Here you can see also some visual representation of the milestones of the company. So as you see, as mentioned earlier by me, in 2020, Riot has moved its entire mining fleet to CoinMeans Bitcoin mining hosting facility in New York from Oklahoma. And then in 2021, the company acquired the Bitcoin mining hosting facility in Rockdale, Texas. So this was the Milestone deal. And for those of you guys who are basically worried about Bitcoin mining sustainability, just a stat from the company presentation, 76% of Bitcoin miners utilize renewables as a part of their energy mix. And Bitcoin miners are also incentivized to minimize their power cost and seek out underutilized renewables infrastructure. So that is very promising in the future. These companies, these Bitcoin miners, are more and more relying on renewable energy sources. And the very important statistics, the hash rate growth, this correlates very heavily with the revenue prospects of the company. As you can see, a very considerable increase in the hash rate is projected for the next year. The hash rate is going to more than double in the next year. So this is like a very short time frame, but this can more than double the revenues as well. And here we haven't even talked about the potential upside in Bitcoin prices. So this is just the computational power, and based on that, the quantity of the Bitcoins that can be mined, so that can be deduced from here. But if we take into account the hash rate growth, and if we add to it the potential upside in Bitcoin prices, then we can deduce what kind of revenue impact these two factors can have over the next 1 year period. And now let's take a look at the financial highlights. The numbers are just stunning. I have to admit. Revenue has increased by 2,532% to a record of 64 million for the 3 months period ended September 13th, as compared to 2.5 million for the same 3-month period in 2020. So the growth rate is staggering. It's still not a huge revenue, but the growth rate itself, it's very, very promising. Mining revenue has increased by more than 2,000% to a record of 53.6 million for the 3 months period ended September 30th, 2021, as compared to 2.4 million for the same period in 2020. So revenue has a huge increase, but more importantly, the margins have increased as well. That's a very important data for each company, because operating margins are just critical in terms of the profitability of the company. And this company has absolutely some stunning margins. Just take a look at these guys. The revenue margin is 76% for the 3-month period ended on September 30, 2021, compared to 47% for the same 3-month period in 2020. Basically, it's a huge increase in the margin. So the company is getting more and more efficient. It's scaling its operations effectively, and that's very promising news, because each investor would like to see numbers like that in terms of the revenue margins. 76% is just marvelous. Bitcoin production increased almost 500% to a record of almost 1,300 Bitcoins during the 3 months. So this is basically a result of the growing hash rates, and this also appears in the revenue growth that is basically completed with the increase in the Bitcoin prices. Despite of this very positive data, the company is still producing a net loss of 15.3 million for the 3 months period ended September the 13th. This is compared to a net loss of 1.7 million for the same period last year. So the losses are increasing. That can be a little bit concerning. But taking into account the crazy expansion of the company, I think this can be interpreted as a good sign, because the company is heavily investing into the future, is expanding, it's building up new facilities, huge facilities from scratch. So that is totally acceptable and understandable that the company is generating losses in order for higher growth in the future. It's very important to mention that this net loss was very significantly impacted by non-cash stock-based compensation that came in around 36 million, and a non-cash unrealized loss of 11 million on marketable equity securities. So these are one-off items. So when we are taking a look at the results, we have to take this into account, and we have to make some adjustments for these one-off items. So if we adjust the net loss with these one-off items, we get a not so crappy number. So I think this is positive. So we have to be aware that this loss was basically the result of some one-off items, and purely on an operational perspective, the company is generating already a net profit. And it's also important to mention that the company's revenues were calculated by an average Bitcoin price of 41,000. So 41,000, guys. So this is much less than the current Bitcoin price. So if we would recalculate the revenues by the current Bitcoin price, we would even receive or even get much higher numbers. So in this section of the report, the company makes some statements related to the hash rate growth. So they say that by the 4th quarter of 2022, Riot anticipates a total self-mining hash rate capacity of 8.6 exahashes. So this is basically, guys, what I just showed you in the other chart. So you can see the projected value here. And now we are below 4 exahashes currently. So the company is going to more than double its computing capacity over a period of 1 year. So the main catalyst that can lead the stock price higher above the expansion in computational power of the company and above the increase in Bitcoin price can be the huge market opportunity that China created by banning Bitcoin mining in their country. And this created like a huge market opportunity for US miners. So this step from China made the US a leading miner in terms of the hash rate, in terms of the computational power. And currently US is controlling around 35% of the global Bitcoin mining capacities. So that is very impressive. And this creates a huge market opportunity for all miners in the US, and that can be one of the most important catalysts behind the growth, behind the future prospects of Riot blockchain and also other miner companies. And as you can see, guys, Riot blockchain was entering a crazy rally at the beginning of the year. This was due to the popularity of the stock on the Wall Street bets and the activity of the retail investors. FOMO just drove the prices up to the sky. And after that, basically the price has collapsed. The stock price has been trading sideways in a channel since May. We can see some very good support and resistance lines in this channel. The support line is around 25. As you can see, the stock price has bounced back from this level multiple times. So this is expected to hold the price in the future as well. And the resistance level is around 40 USDs. This is also a psychological level. Here, just very recently, we can see a breakout. We can see a breakout with some considerable volumes that is quite promising, I would say. But as a result of the report, the stock price is falling back into the channel indicated from May. So this might be a false breakout of the channel, but we might also receive a reinforcement of the breakout if the upcoming days, if the recent pullback would represent a good entry point for many buyers, and many buyers would like to enter at these lower prices, creating a buying pressure and basically giving a boost to the stock price to break out of this channel once again. So for those of you guys who are basically considering buying Riot blockchain for the longer term, I think that the recent pullback can be a very good entry opportunity. What I would say, my trading strategy is to wait for the first green candle after the recent pullback. So I would consider that the pullback has basically sold out, and then I would be ready to enter a position, to start a position at that lower price level. The current short float of the company is only 70%. That can be considered very good. That can be considered relatively good. So that means that not a lot of market participants are shorting the stock at the moment. And institutional investors own more than 30% of the company's outstanding shares. This can be still better, but compared to the values a few months earlier when they owned only a percent in the teens, this is also considered a huge improvement. So basically institutions are more and more entering the stock, and this raises confidence among retail investors as well. So this can be considered generally as positive. And now let's take a look at the analyst expectations. So 6 analysts are following Riot blockchain at the moment, and the recommendation from all of them is a buy. The average target price is 47.5 USD. So as you can see, the average target price represents an almost 13% increase to the last closing price. If we take into account the pre-market movement, even the upside can be much more than that. And the high estimate represents an almost 100% increase compared to the last trading session's closing price. The low estimate is almost the same level as the last trading session closing price. So if we take into account the pre-market movement, even the low estimate would represent or will represent a potential upside compared to the actual market prices. And just to analyze the risk around the company as well, the main risk is that the company's performance is highly correlated to the Bitcoin price. So in case of a pullback in Bitcoin's price, it's going to impact the company in a negative manner as well. So as you can see, if you take a look at the company's stock chart and the Bitcoin price chart, you can see a similar pattern. Basically, the same pattern is drawn up for Riot mining as for Bitcoin. The pattern is the same. The company is highly correlated. The revenues highly depend on the performance of Bitcoin. So this can be a huge risk for the future. If Bitcoin is considerably pulling back, let's say it's dropping 50%, that would have a very important impact on the company's performance as well. And as a closing thought, I would like to quote a statement from Zacks Research, who are basically closely watching Riot blockchain. They say that Riot blockchain is the Bitcoin opportunity that you don't want to miss. And they say that it's time to gain exposure to the skyrocketing cryptocurrency market as a tidal wave of curious individual and institutional investors alike pour into this booming asset class. Riot blockchain, one of the world's largest public Bitcoin miners following its recent acquisition of Milestone US, is positioned to provide us with a rare and exciting opportunity to profit of the resurging crypto market's already prolific rally. So I would like to close, guys, with these closing thoughts. I think that Riot blockchain can be a very good investment opportunity for those of you guys that are interested in Bitcoin and would like to get some indirect exposure to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I think that the recent pullbacks can represent a very good entry point. This company has marvelous prospects for the future. This company basically might see some skyrocketing growth rates. So of course, please always pay attention to managing your risks, as the performance of the company highly correlates with Bitcoin prices, and Bitcoin prices can be very, very volatile from time to time. Please make sure that you are diversifying and you are just keeping only a fractional part of your portfolio in Riot blockchain. But for that part, the gains in the upcoming years can be very impressive. So I leave you with that, guys. Think about it. Please share your comments below. What do you think about Riot blockchain? What is your strategy? Would you sell the stock or buy it in today's trading session? What do you think about the company in general? And before you leave, guys, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I really need the feedback to continue this journey. And thank you for watching my video. I will be coming with some very interesting review of stocks, market analysis, coverage. So I will be back, guys. But till then, please take care. Please enjoy the day. Have a lucky trading session. And please subscribe, because trading together is always much more fun than trading alone. Thank you very much. Take care. See you soon. Bye.